All right, so welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, on this second part of the show. Just off camera, we were just having a little conversation here, and they're saying while we're on break, do we also have mentorship on breaks? I'm not sure. We'll talk about that in the course of the show. But Peter, coming to you, we really talked about mentor. Now, there's the aspect of the mentee, the person who is being guided. So what are some of the things that they need to know, or what are some of the qualities that they need to have before they can qualify to be called mentees?
One, they don't need any qualification. I mean, there's no really qualification of becoming a mentee, but there's qualification of becoming a mentor. You remember, you don't qualify to be a school-going child unless you say you are tall, you are of age. You know, but to perhaps try to get it right is that mentees are individuals who need to be impacted on knowledge, skills, guidance, leadership, prayers, when impacted with proper knowledge. So these particular individuals are supposed to identify a mentor. It's a responsibility of a mentee to identify a mentor. And that's why I said previously that few people reach out to mentees. But you as a young person, and I want to make it mandatory as a young person, it's important you approach a person with much experience to step in and say, hey, my name is so-and-so. You introduce yourself well, because these people might be busy. Say, and even write to them formally. As a mentee, that's your responsibility. Write to them formally, saying that I am so-and-so. I want the following objective be met in my life, and I request if there's a way you could be in a position to really guide me in these lines. I feel like I am a student, I do not know how to choose a career, perhaps as an example. Or I've chosen a career but I'm not sure about it. How can you guide me on this? Or perhaps I want to work in certain organizations, maybe it could be an NGO in government or private sector. How can you guide me into this? Or I am a young person but I have a relationship issue. Perhaps is it too early or too late? Am I doing it right? You are supposed to approach a person who can really help you, because there's no need. Like iron sharpens iron, so man sharpens man. It's a position that whereby we need to guide. It is interrelationship. God created us in a way that we must guide and provide guidance to the other people. We are not created on aspect of island or being human doers. We are human beings, not doers. Being means that we must relate with others. We must be in a position whereby we help. So there's no need you struggling with your own issues. They say the problem I have shared is a problem almost solved. If you share a problem, it's actually half solved. So you try your best level as a mentee, as a young person, mandatory. As a young person, at least identify, maybe for example, you have a spiritual issue. Some of young people nowadays, perhaps the concept of Christianity is not very deep into them. Recently, I stayed with two of my nephews, and they came and told me that they have removed CRE and social studies, I guess. I was wondering, of all topics, subjects, how do you remove CRE? So then I called the teacher, then she said the NEC has not provided that exams. I think that is an issue. It's a very, very big issue. Of all subjects, CRE cannot be left, because those are the areas that we were told about the concept of Christianity. We were told both contemporary and spiritual life. So if you are not teaching these children on the Christianity, I think that is something perhaps need to be carried at a higher level and ask. CRE of all things, Pastor will not agree, cannot be removed from a curriculum. So it's upon us, the people that, even myself, I'm mentored. I have mentors on my life. I reach up to them. There are men who tell me, once you get to the office, they're like, go fetch me water. They're testing your level of obedience and commitment to the process. Because remember, you are assigning yourself a responsibility to commit to the process. Sometimes you can actually go to your mentor and they will tell you, now, by there, I want you to do the following assignment for me. Perhaps you'll be like, oh, this guy is supposed to be mentoring me. Why is he sending me? That sending is part of mentorship. I remember a lady, a very friend of mine, once upon a time, some student who was mentoring went to his office, and one of the things he told them, could you guys wipe these tables, arrange these tables? And they were very annoyed. They're like, we came for mentorship. But later on, he told them, part of mentorship is also guiding your level of assistance, providing what you have. You as a mentee, you are not completely in adequacy of knowledge or skills. So you're supposed also to be providing. As you learn, you must give back. Be shown that you are able to do things. Even David was busy singing for Saul. When he realized Saul was very tired, he will take his guitar and try to sing to make sure that the mentor is fine. So you need also to contribute. Kings were supposed to be given gifts a long time historically. You don't just go to a king or queen with your empty-handed. So it's a culture that we have that whenever I come to you, you need to give me. I need to come and give you something. That position that if I cannot give you monetary value, then can I do a service? This upon us as young people, to look at in a position, what can we contribute to? I always encourage young people, before you go try to borrow money from people, right and left and center, can you create value to yourself so that they see they're investing value? They're not just wasting time with you. How do you position yourself and create value within yourself that you can be a person who first of all have accepted that they can actually be valuable? Then that same value, you walk into somebody's house, even buying a banana and walking with that banana to your mentee, like, thank you so much, sir. Yesterday's session was very good. It shows that you actually contemplating changing your behaviors. So there are so many areas of that, but the responsibility of a mentee is to be responsible enough to be mentored.
Wow. Wow, that is so detailed. I don't think I need to add anything on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us this morning, this is Next Gen Warriors on Elevate TV, where we are advancing kingdom lifestyle. There are numbers passing down on your screen. Please get in touch with us. Send us that SMS, give us a call for that prayer request or any other request on our programs, on how we can improve. Please let us know and we will get back to you. We also have the social media handles at Elevate TV on every social media site, that is Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. So thank you so much for continuing to watch. Pastor Bernard.
Yes.
You said that when you want to be a mentee, you must go out. To some extent, is when you say make it formal in writing, and say these are the objectives I want met, and make sure you also add value to the process. Don't be just consuming. In fact, I didn't tell you, but he comes from the banana land.
Okay.
And so when he gave that example, banana, you see, I was like, okay, all right.
Okay. So it's mentees now.
It's mentees now.
Yes.
Now the question then is, when you come to the Christian or the church setting,
yes,
and these mentees are these are people in church, how do they approach it? Do they also come formally the way he's talking about, or do we come? How do we come it from a church perspective?
Yeah, I would still advise that it is formal. It may not have a contract with a signature below the line, but basically it needs to be formal.
Yeah.
It is important for me to know that I am mentoring you, because one of the key things in life is intentionality. It's very important for everybody to be intentional. When and I can be your pastor and not your mentor, because in terms of being your pastor, then I would say what I will serve is a general meal. It's a general meal for everybody. But when you come to me and approach me and tell me, Pastor Bernard, I would want you to be my mentor, what you're doing is that you are establishing a relationship. And Christianity is about relationships. When that relationship is established, number two is that we must agree on what are the objectives of this relationship. Someone will come to me because they need mentorship in their marriage. Then I'll be intentional and will keep my limits within the request that has been laid. Somebody will come and make a request to be mentored when it comes to their career. Somebody will come and seek mentorship. Maybe they're young pastors who are coming up and they need another pastor to work with them. And therefore, so after a relationship is established, then there must be objectives. There must be objectives. What do we look to achieve? Because every process should have a way of being evaluated. How can we say that we are succeeding if we have worked with you for 2 years? For those 2 years, is there a way? And unless you have objectives, unless you have goals that you want to meet, you'll never be able to evaluate a process and see if it is yielding the fruits that you desired. The third thing that is very important is the strategy. How will we do it? So you have to agree how you will do it. Will you do it through formal meetings, through notes that have to be written, through meeting every once a month or every once a week, or will you work together? Somebody will come to me and tell me, I can sense the call of God over my life to become a pastor. And therefore, what I want to do is to come and sit in your church, is to come and watch the way you do things, go with you when you're doing your visitations. If you have a speaking assignment, which I can join you, I'll work with you. As I observe the way you're doing things, then I will learn. There's another one who will come and we agree, looking at the objectives that we have and how we have to meet them, then we have to have formal meetings, maybe once every month. And like I said, all of us have mentors. I have a mentor that I meet every once a month. And when we meet every once a month, we have an assignment for the month. We actually have even readings. You go buy this book, read this book, and then when we come for the next meeting, we have to evaluate, we have to share what we did. So it depends. Now you have to come up with a strategy. That is, now I said number is it? So 1 is the relationship, 2 is objectives, number 3 is the strategy,
yeah.
and number 4, and I mentioned it when I was here last, is something that I never leave behind. Keep evaluating. Evaluate. Last time I said evaluate and adjust. Evaluate and adjust. So as we walk together through this journey, we have to keep evaluating. We are asking ourselves, is the mentee as available as they should be? Because one of the key things in mentorship is availability. That the mentee is available and the mentor is available. Because you can have an available mentee, but the mentor is too busy. Or you can have an available mentor, but the mentee is too busy. They are never available.
Now that you brought that one up, Peter, I want us to get this to the next level. What are some of the, like you said, maybe the mentee is available, the mentor is unavailable, or the vice versa. So what are some of the do's and don'ts for a mentee during the process? Because I know you mentor, and you remember the other time we were with you, you mentor the student leaders. And so what are some of the do's and don'ts so that this process succeeds, but on the side of the mentee?
One, we had agreed that mentee will approach a mentor, honor. And I think let's stick to...
We have approached.
Very formal arrangement here. Okay. This is formally. So once you have approached a mentor, the areas that you wanted to be mentored on, and that's why the objectivity part of it, the relationship has been built, and the strategy has been laid upon that. And of course, that means you are expected to be evaluated also. So if you stick to those objectives, because if people are not given guidelines, they end up making mistakes. So guidelines are very, very clear. For example, you want to be mentored on public speaking. You have been told which kind of books to buy, or what kind of sessions to anticipate, or a platform to really put yourself in. I think sticking to those ones will help you a lot. And especially you as a mentee, as approach a professional mentorship program. It's fair enough that you stick to that. But then if the don'ts are deviating from the agreed upon philosophy. One, remember you are being mentored by a person of seniority. Let's put it that way, because of the processes. It could be the same age, peer to peer, but then the fact that now is your mentor, and what the pastor said, he has already put authority over you. So there has to be that level of respect. So you cannot cross that level of respect and become informal. For example, there is a way you could communicate to a mentor as a mentee that should be very appropriate. One, you must be very courteous. It's a natural way to appreciate that you're learning by being courteous. Secondly, you must be timely. That means if the mentorship program starts at this particular time, please be there on time. Thirdly, you must be decent. That means you are entering in a place of learning. Then fourthly, you must acknowledge that there's value being added here. So all these things have to be adhered to. But the moment you don't do that, for example, I'm talking about opposite genders. Could be a male is a mentor, a female is a mentee. If you do not stick to those norms, it can actually end badly. There are places whereby mentorship has become very toxic. And some of them have even attracted legal grounds. And you see, when we talk about the don'ts and the do's, they don't necessarily apply only to the mentee. It also applies to the mentor. You as a mentor, there are some prepositions that you need to exhibit before the mentee, because they're looking up to you. They're only not looking at what you're saying. They're also concerned about what you're doing, because you have already given yourself as an instrument of example. You have to be learned from. You know, you are an operator of learning. So you have to really structure yourself in a way that you do not also deviate from the norm. For instance, if you are to have a mentorship meeting, it has to be in a formal grounds. You could not invite your mentee to a bar, for instance. There is nothing wrong with being in a bar, because you are supposed to formalize the behaviors or professionalism of this particular individual. In a bar, there's a lot of distractions. Could be that you guys could be drunk and toxic and deviate, or there's a lot of noise. Perhaps you could not hear one another. You know, those are some of the areas of interest that I also have to be considered on. Then you as a mentor also, the way you communicate. I always say that I don't like loose talks, you know, like whereby you can actually call names. Name calling is very wrong. If you have stuck that it is Mr. Bernard, we stick to Mr. Bernard. If it is Miss Jane, let's stick to Miss Jane. You know, so that perhaps we do not become too informal to each other. That will create a lot of toxic energy. Of course, when we realize the environment has already been toxic, as a professional person, mentor especially, you terminate the mentorship. It's in good order, and the pastor will tell you, it's fair enough that you say, by the way, I don't realize that I'm adding value to you. Then as a mentor, perhaps you could consult another person who could be in a position to guide, because you can perhaps realize that whatever is going on is not helping both of you. You know, there's a level that it can even affect your own person as a mentor. Yes.
Wow. So Pastor,
Yes.
still on that, you can terminate a mentorship program.
Yes, exactly.
From the church point of view, and from where you sit as a pastor, how serious is this challenge to the extent that we can even terminate such in church, especially among young people, maybe those in college and maybe high school?
Yeah, like we've said before, is that every mentorship relationship gears towards a specific objective. And if we are not achieving the objectives for which we started this relationship, then we have no business continuing having the relationship. That does not mean that we become enemies, because what we are saying is that I've allowed, in a different ways, that I've allowed this person who is a mentor to influence a certain area of my life. If I realize that he or she is not achieving the objectives that I had, what you need to do is to minimize or eliminate the influence. So this could still continue being your friend, could still continue being your pastor, but so you have evaluated, the objectives are not being achieved, this person is not being available, or the other things that have come in, something like confidentiality is very key when it comes to mentorship. And when think of matters spiritual, think of matters about marriage, think about mentoring people in relationships, in their social lives, which I do a lot. You get access to a lot of confidential information about this particular person, that the expectation is that as a mentor, you have to have a very high standard of keeping matters in confidence. And what happens is that if, as a mentee, you realize that your mentor is not someone who is keeping matters in confidence, so he's a pastor like me, and after we had our session on Friday, I come on Sunday and I use your case to be the preaching illustration, then because it will hurt you, you have the responsibility to say, because the other thing I say is that if you have to terminate such a relationship, you must do it honorably. You must do it in a way that it doesn't hurt you more, doesn't also hurt you mentor, and it doesn't hurt the relationship that you could have, because you don't go burning bridges with people that God has enabled you meet. So talk to the person, tell them, based on this ground and this ground and this ground, I don't think we should continue with this mentorship relationship, and therefore, because we started it formally, we terminated it formally. Something else is like, if people are not available, so I've approached you to be my mentor, or you have approached me to be your mentor, so you're my mentee, and then we've arranged when we should be meeting. but either of us, either the mentor or the mentee, is not available, then what we're saying is that we might not be achieving our goals. And time is of essence. So if I'm a mentee and I have this mentor who is supposed to work with me through a 2-3 year program and he is not available, the best thing that I can do is early enough vacate that mentorship relationship and establish another one on time before time goes. So based on availability, again, you can terminate a mentorship relationship. Of course, when objectives have been achieved, it is also okay. You can say that you've worked with me through these years. I was struggling with this. I had a challenge here. You have helped me enough. I'm so grateful. Come with a banana, and and that is done. But something that is also very important is that a relationship can become dysfunctional. And he has cited some of these things. A relationship can become dysfunctional, and there are many things that can cause relationships to become dysfunctional. Some of them could border morality. Others could border even relationships that you have. Take, for example, you are a member in a church, and someone is mentoring you in your marriage within the church, who by virtue of having been married before and all that is ahead of you. But over time, maybe you receive a calling to become a minister of the word, and you become a pastor to this person who was mentoring you in your marriage. So he's now a member of your church, but he was the one who was actively mentoring you in your marriage. This is an honorable relationship. You will keep it. You don't terminate it. But what it tells you is that now, if you are now the pastor of this person, then there are certain matters that might be challenging and difficult to discuss. If you've gone home and you have this conflict with your wife, now it becomes a challenge to go to the member of your church and have the member now be the one who is mediating. So you find, in terms of the level of influence that this mentor has on you, you have now to do some adjustments. So he doesn't stop becoming a mentor, but now there is some adjustments that have to be made because there's a dysfunctionality that has occurred within the relationship that you had. The other thing is, I always tell people that the way we journey in life, take for example, you have mentors who challenge you, who ask you hard questions, but it is also good to have some cheering squad, people who cheer you up. So you have here a mentor who really is challenging, who is helping you walk the journey of life, who is making you so ambitious. But with time, it's possible to outgrow a mentor. It's possible to outgrow a mentor, and you find that the mentor has now become part of the cheering squad.
Now, I want you to hold that thought right there, and I want to come to you, Ben and Peter. Now, you said that it is possible to outgrow a mentor. So now maybe my question would be, when is it time to quit the program? We've met the objectives.
One I want to. It's debatable whether you can outgrow a mentor.
Okay.
And this is on my own. I need to go do my own research on that. Mentorship, we agreed, is duration of time. But when you realize that you are not achieving that, and there are things that perhaps you're overseeing, it's easy to consult that I'm willing. Are you willing for me to connect you to another person, so that you see, professionally, you need to maintain the decorum, whereby you are carrying this particular person, you are taking them to a journey. But you realize during these processes, there is likeliness that perhaps maybe before, because mentorship also has time, maybe it could be 6 months at most. So within that period of time, you realize maybe you will be traveling to another country, or you are being called to another assignment. It's upon you to now start making arrangement for these particular processes to also move to another level, or consult one of your seniors or your colleagues, say, by there I have this, and you agree with the mentee first that I am moving from this level of life to this other life, and is it possible for me to really also get someone who can really work with you, or what we have can continue, either online, like now what is happening online, that we can proceed to that. Because when you overdo mentorship in itself, yes, that happens, where you realize that suddenly now you are too open with you know each other's secrets so much because you didn't formalize it. Now it reaches a level whereby now your mentor becomes your part of a cheering group, so that they do. But rarely should you do that, especially if that is your calling. Like I said, not everybody is meant for everybody, for everything. You could say mentorship is an exciting thing and I to help people, but it's not in you. So you end up messing people, you end up making so many mistakes, even to your own life. It can actually be very costly because you will affect another person who will now say things. Now it becomes, it becomes no longer attainable. I wouldn't really imagine there is a level where a mentee outgrows. Yes, when you talk about apprenticeship, yes, the person being apprenticed could outgrow. Yes, that happens. When it comes to, for example, I'm talking about you are training them, for example, to ride a bike. Using a bike as an example. Your student could be doing better. They could rise up and, or if you are a teacher, perhaps, you are giving a certain profession and people are learning. There could be a level whereby they learn till PhD. Maybe you as a teacher, perhaps will malize a degree.
Wow.
But when I realize your student has gone even to PhD level. You see, that one was not on mentorship. That you're guiding a career path to a certain level as apprenticeship. People need to always understand there's a difference between apprenticeship and mentorship. Apprenticeship is you are taking them through a career path. It could be an artisan based. For example, you are coaching people on a certain level of a profession. They can actually outdo you. I always use the example of Jackie Chan and Will Smith's son, the Karate Kid. You realize at some level, if you look at that, is now the practical aspect of apprenticeship and also an aspect of mentorship, whereby even the mentor himself is learning from the mentee. Because you realize there's a time that you are trying to deviate. For example, you realize that, yes, you're a good mentor, but you realize socially you are being affected. Maybe your job, career, and everything. Now you want to lose it and go to drugs and maybe try to, go to the bar. Your mentee can tell, no, sir, this way. Your mentee can actually be in a position to actually, maybe perhaps that's what you talk about, outgrowing. They could be in a position to step in and get you back because they like you, because the relationship was officially, approached to. So there are those circumstances, and they are very unique to every case.
Wow. So ladies and gentlemen, we are just about to wind it up. But before we wind it up, Bernard, Pastor,
Yes.
I want you to look at camera here. This is camera 3, yes. I want you to look at camera 3 right here and speak to that young man in church, that young girl in church, that young girl out there who may be watching us right now and they're wondering, what is happening to my mentorship or my mentor, or how can I get into mentorship program? Just in 30 seconds.
Yeah. What I would like to tell every young person is that you don't have to struggle alone. You don't have to die with your issues. You don't have to fail to achieve your full potential simply because there's 1 or 2 things that you have been unable to do. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There is somebody who has gone before you. There's somebody who has a burden for you. There's somebody who is willing to hold your hand and aid you and facilitate you running your own race and finishing triumphantly. So don't walk alone. Don't die alone. Talk to somebody. Seek somebody out, and they will guide you. Thank you.
Wow. Peter, without wasting time, I just want you to get to camera 2 right here and just speak to somebody in 30 seconds.
I want to just agree with the pastor that it's not upon us to die alone or dive ourselves into so much problems and issues. You could talk to someone. Talking to someone does not show weakness, it shows strength. All of us, none of us was created with the monopoly of ideas and information. We all struggle in our own ways. So don't feel ashamed to actually ask or consult. It's important to ask. Asking is biblical. It's actually a spiritual connotation where it shows guidance and fulfillment to that. And of course, the other thing is pray. God will never forsake us. He has always been with us. Prayers has actually yielded a lot of things. And of course, through prayers, we're able to sort a lot of things. God gives us a lot of rest in our hearts. And it is upon this formidable action that we could do a lot. One, we should never lose hope. As Christians, as citizens of this country, let's have hope. The most important thing that we should never lose is hope.
Wow.
Those who need mentorship will actually come to Kenya School of Government as young people. And once you get there, say you have been requested by Peter Quest, you come and say you want to actually enter to our mentorship programs, and we can work with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, our time is well spent, and I will add nothing to it. Thank you so much for watching. See you again next week on Saturday. That has been our time on NEXTGEN Warriors. I am Collins Otas. I've been your host through this show. Thank you so much. See you again next week, same time, same place.